Yes, I want to start streaming and... Okay. Ahoy hoy, I'm Planarwalk and welcome to... Shit, I didn't plan this out. And yes, welcome to Shit, I didn't plan this out. So, let me just put this... Alright, so, I'll just... I didn't want to do that, I wanted to click that there, okay. Alright, let me just switch over to the... This is the right one here. Okay, yep. So, I decided... I did originally have something planned, but that didn't go as planned, so now you've got this, and it's just going to be a sort of, you know, just discussion between me and AB Science and whoever else decides to join, if anyone else decides to join. Yeah, I didn't plan this out. Big surprise. So, there we go. You should be able to hear AB Science if he speaks.
Oh, hi.
So, where do I start? So, yeah, as I said, I didn't plan this out because essentially what I did is I had planned something else out, but the person got back to me this morning and said that, said that he wasn't able to make it, so I wasn't able to get anyone else on time. So, and besides, I hadn't really planned anyone else on time in case people pull out because, you know. But it should happen next week, hopefully. So, first off, I should probably say that I've got quite a few things that I'm working on. First one, I should actually bring up on screen. Why am I in the wrong chat? There we go. So yeah, I've got this coming up. So I decided to take it on myself to do a bit of 3D modeling in Blender. So essentially what I've got here, AB Science, can you hear, or can you see this on stream?
I can now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think the lag is too bad. Okay, so what do we have here?
Okay, so this here is something that I've been working on in Blender. This little thing here, this little ball here, is supposed to represent Io, and this big thing here is supposed to represent Jupiter. I'm probably going to have better colors in the final product. And, you know, when you sort of... I find that when you zoom out on it, it kind of looks somewhat the same size, the shadow and the moon. Especially seeing as it's... Wait, I'm just trying to work out, is this the right photo? Or is it the wrong one? I'll just bring...
It looks... The scales look pretty good.
Yeah, because actually, no, it was the wrong one. Because I was noticing that the moon seemed a lot bigger than what I was expecting it to. This one here is the right one. So yeah. This one here, the moon looks pretty much the same size as the shadow. And this is because I've pulled the camera right back and given it a larger, the millimeter, the lens size.
Yeah.
So they're roughly the same size, and this is you were in the debate last week where Sleeping Warrior was asking why are the shadows on Jupiter the same size as the moons, or roughly the same size as the moons.
I think I ducked out at that point, but yeah, he very quickly joined after I left. But yeah, that wouldn't be surprising if he asks a question like that. But it makes a lot of sense because that's what you would get.
Yeah. And so I opened up Blender, and I'll screen share that because so if I go to OBS and just switch it over to Blender, properties, there we go. Oh, it switched automatically. Woohoo! Anyway, so this is a rendering of the moon here and the Earth, and it shows the shadow of the moon on the Earth because this is what you'd expect to see of the shadow on the Earth. Because we're a lot closer to the sun, and if I go to 3D view, holy shit, where am I? So. This is the hard thing trying to get everything on screen so that you can actually zoom up on it. That's the one thing I don't like about Blender. It's a nice software, but it's a pain to use at times. So
yeah, that's what you'll get with all 3D stuff. There's a pain in the ass to use because you are representing a 3-dimensional system on a 2-dimensional surface.
Yeah. So yesterday I spent a lot of time working on this. So this is a whole lot of lights. Over 650 lights.
Right.
Surprisingly, the render time isn't actually too bad.
Okay.
And so...
yeah, all right.
Yeah, it's a flat sun. Yeah, but 250 lights.
The sun is flat.
Yeah. And so when I render this, I'm not going to render it now because it would just cause lag on the stream. So when I render this, I've got a couple of different cameras to render onto, and each of the different cameras are designed to show a different thing. So one of the cameras is just designed to show the shadow of the moon on the Earth. One of them's just designed to show both the Earth and the moon with the shadow of the moon on the Earth. Another one is designed to show the shadow of Io on Jupiter from Earth, but the problem I get there is that it gets some weird glitchy stuff because of how the distance from Earth to Jupiter. And then another one is showing the shadow of the Jupiter's moon Io on Jupiter. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I've never used Blender before myself. I actually use old school ray tracing, if I'm honest.
I need to work out how to do that.
Well, ray tracing.
Yeah.
Well, you know how to program in C, right?
Not C itself. I can do a bit in C++ and C#, but not C.
Yeah, then there's a program called PovRay. It's really old. It's really old, but that's what I pretty much use to do kind of models. And yeah, the programming language is quite similar to C.
Yeah. So for this, people may wonder, why didn't I just use one light? And there is and there is a reason why I didn't just use one light for this, and this is because so the reason why I didn't just use one light for this is because the sun is a lot bigger than just a single point. We're not talking about black holes here, we're talking about the sun. So I've just used the, it's an approximate size that takes the circle of the sun, and it casts all these lights out so that when I click on, let's go to one of the cameras here, let's go to our main camera, and I'm just going to go Control 0. There we go. Okay, I set hotkeys up. God damn! I'm just glad that I didn't have my browser showing, right?
Yeah, none of that team porn. Or OSI documents.
Yeah, so yeah, this is the camera that's pointing towards Jupiter, and I've got a camera back here which is pointing towards the moon, and the moon is here, and that casts a shadow on the Earth here. And then you got Jupiter way the fuck off over there.
Awesome.
So
what's the general kind of purpose behind doing modeling this? Is it just to kind of show Sleeping Warrior that, you know, the answer to his question, or is there a bigger plan that you've got?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a video on this, and I've already tagged Sleeping Warrior when I posted this on Discord, but I don't think that he responded. At least I didn't see him. If he did respond, I didn't see him respond, and I still don't see him responding. So yeah, it's safe to say that he didn't respond. But anyway, essentially what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to explain a few things with this, and I'm essentially going to answer two questions that I've had. One of them is from Flat Out Hero, if you remember that guy.
Well, he was the guy that ended up with the flight charts, wasn't he?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen him do much lately. And I'm going to essentially answer Sleeping Warrior's question in the same video. I'll start with Sleeping Warrior's question and then move on to Flat Out Hero's question. Which does bring me into... what is it? Something I was thinking about. Oh yeah, Sleeping Warrior Week. So, essentially I'm going to be making a few videos for that. I'm going to be talking about the independent variable and how he gets that immensely wrong, and how other flat earthers actually also get it wrong. And, well, actually next week I'm going to be talking about how another flat earther, or someone who appears to be a flat earther, he hasn't said that he's a flat earther, but he seems to be spouting the same rhetoric as people like Nathan Oakley, Quantum Eraser, and Sleeping Warrior. So...
Okay.
So essentially what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about... First I'm going to be talking about the curve calculator and how flat earthers don't understand perspective. And because... Is it just me, or do they try and say, perspective isn't included in the curve calculator?
I've heard a few flat earthers argue that it doesn't account for perspective or anything, but they will invoke things like the diffraction limit and those sorts of things. But it doesn't, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. It does not explain what we observe.
One thing I'm also going to try and do is I'm also going to try and model out, speaking of the curve calculator, I'm going to try and model out Lake Pontchartrain in 3D software on both a flat Earth and a round Earth. sort of see what
Okay.
we would expect to see, because, again, flat earthers don't understand perspective.
Nope. But it's their number one go-to argument to say, well, this is why this is happening because of perspective. But there's a complete failure to understand something that is actually very, very simple.
Yeah. It's... Oh, I've got... Why do I have a friend request? I just had someone friend me on Discord, right? This is out of the blue, right? I had someone friend me on Discord and then send... he hasn't sent me a message or anything. And I was watching one of his videos last night. Holy shit. Last night was the first time I'd seen any of his videos, and I was like, this guy seems like a cool guy, and he just, out of the blue, friends me on Discord.
Nice. Well, law of large numbers and everything.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got some good videos. It's Pig Puncher. You probably haven't heard of them. He's a relatively new channel with something like 4,000 subscribers.
Relatively new, 4,000 subscribers. You're talking to a guy who's only just hit 333.
Yeah. Actually, what I should tell people is please go subscribe to AB Science. He puts out...
Yes, please do. But I don't think anyone in the chat, anyone watching right now, who hasn't subscribed yet. But yeah, if you haven't, come on, subscribe.
Yosh Stroy, that guy, whoever. He probably hasn't subscribed to you, but he should.
No, but yeah, maybe I've got a series that might enlighten him on a few basic ideas in physics.
Yeah, because I do enjoy your content. It's one of them things which I, especially the. There's been a couple which I've enjoyed. There's been the one that you made about all the debunkers. There's been the one about conspiracy cats, and you had Satan in your house. Is Satan still there, by the way?
Yeah, he is. He is. He's chilled out a little bit. He's on a bit of a downer at the moment after. After all the partying. I mean, even Satan himself, he occasionally gets worn out. So he's just been, I've given him a little cat litter tray in the corner. He sleeps in there, and, he just does his thing for a bit. Once he's recovered, he'll become an absolute pain in the ass again. But, he's pretty calm at the moment.
Okay. Josh Stroy says, you can't enlighten me. I am 10 years ahead of you. Okay, Josh Stroy, give me the formula for perspective. Go. That's usually the way to...
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to have a chat if I'm always open to learning. So if you'd like to enlighten me, then I'm always happy to listen.
Yeah. But I like J.E. Atwood's response. He has to Google it, give him time. Good point.
Yeah, well. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having to Google stuff. It's something I tell all of my my computer science students. I tell them if you don't know something, the first thing you need to do is Google it. As simple as that.
And actually, Anti-Flatter is... Someone just brought up Anti-Flatter, and yeah, he's a good person. I wonder if he's online right now. I'll send him a message in case he does show up.
He's up in your neck of the woods, but he does work. And
yeah, I've actually gotten a few jobs. I can't.
Okay, there's a request for my channel link, so I suppose I'll shill myself.
Yeah, but I'll just try and message Anti-Flatter. But yeah, I've recently had a few things that there we go. But yeah, recently I've had a couple of things which have come up, like work stuff. So I'm going to be working 2 jobs, maybe. I've got an interview coming up tomorrow, actually. Jeez.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay, so what's it for?
It's just for working in a phone shop for a month whilst a friend goes on vacation.
Ah, fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Got a friend who's going on vacation to India, so I'm going to be working in the phone shop for him, and hopefully it gets me a little more cash. And yes, so and then there's another job which I'm not allowed to disclose, so there's that.
Yeah, fair. No, that's good. Awesome.
So things are looking up, and so it seems that I will be able to make it to the Flat Earth conference in Dallas.
Where are you going?
What?
Well, are you planning to go then?
Yeah.
Oh, well, cool.
Because I wasn't able to make it to the one in New Zealand, and people kept on asking me, "Oh, did you go to the one in New Zealand?" It's like, no, I didn't, but I wanted to go. But I will go to the one.
Also about. I had been thinking about. I think there's one being organised in the UK. I'd been thinking about going, but I probably won't. It's not, I can barely stand going to proper science conferences, let alone flat Earth conferences.
Yeah, it's. I feel like I might actually get kicked out of a flat Earth conference because I'd just be laughing the whole time.
Yeah. Well, that's another temptation that would be difficult to avoid.
Yeah, it's. Get a haircut before your interview, globe hard. What? I just noticed that Sam... I think that Sam Sally joined the Discord server. It's S. Sally. Or Sally. If he wants to join the chat, he's more than welcome to. Although I think I've got to drag him in because there's I'm pretty sure this is locked down to stop people like Sleeping Warrior coming in and ruining the fun.
Well, as long as you turn the automation off, then it could work.
Well, this is just, I just noticed Troy's comment because I don't think he answered the question about what is the formula for perspective. Anyway.
No, he didn't. Anyway, Alan Evans just said, yeah, there is one in England, one in Amsterdam.
Okay.
Yes, I am aware of those, but the problem is that you end up having to pay for it. And that means I'm going to have to give some motherfucker my money. And
yeah,
that's not happening.
Yeah, I do want to go to the Flat Earth conference, but at the same time, I do realize how big of a scam it is.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's if you're in your position where you can potentially get some great footage, some good coverage of the event as well, then it could be a reasonable investment for you. For a channel like mine, it's not financially feasible. And as I said, I find there'll be quite limited entertainment value to it for myself because, well, it's. I'm finding it boring. I would like to see some flat earthers come out with some new, interesting stuff. But so far, all I've seen since I've joined joined this community a few months ago, I haven't seen anything new happening.
Yeah, and that is the problem with flat Earth, and that's why I kind of want to move away from it, because it's all the same old stuff, you know. Um, Nothing has. Sometimes I hear a few new things, but it's more of whenever I hear something new, it's so ridiculously stupid that I feel like we've moved away from logic and reason, right?
Yeah.
So like I still haven't made a video where I'm just going to say why I never believed the flat Earth in the first place, and that's because we have sunsets. You know.
Well, yeah, and it's just the whole model. It just makes no sense. It's
What model?
well, I mean, it's okay. There is a model. I dispute the fact that kind of the flat Earth debunking community is saying there is no models. Like, no, there is a model. It's just not internally consistent or sensible or anything like that. It's just batshit crazy, but it's a model of some sort, I suppose.
Apparently, Antonio Subrats has made a model.
No. He hasn't made a model, but that's the other issue. It's about the language as well, isn't it? Because when we're talking about science, a model means something very different than blue tacking some bits of styrofoam together.
Yeah. Apparently, William Science. I think he's got it. It's the shifting goalposts model.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. But essentially, I think that it's gone to the point where most flat earthers they've listened to people like they've either listened to someone like Nathan Oakley and they've gone, yeah, this guy seems to know what he's talking about, or Sleeping Warrior. I think Sleeping Warrior is probably more convincing than Nathan Oakley, to be honest.
Yeah, because the difference is Sleeping Warrior, for all of his lack of knowledge, I am not willing to say that he's stupid in the sense of low intelligence. I think he's quite a reasonably smart guy. He's not like some sort of genius or anything, but he's not stupid. And that does make him a bit more convincing, and also he does have the big advantage of that he stays away from making positive claims, right? He doesn't actually make any statements like the Earth is flat or there must be a firmament or anything like that. He's just disputing. That's what he does, and it's that. I don't know if in New Zealand you're kind of familiar with that, but it's that populist politics type of approach where it's just attacking the mainstream politics, but not actually presenting any policies yourself. And that's where he does really well. It's because he's attacking, and that's his whole platform. It's about attacking the consensus, but not actually presenting any alternatives.
And ugly German truths. Ugly German truths said. You basically end up drowning in many Yoshas, like the person that's. In his comment. But I see where you're coming from. Like, it's like if I say something. It's like if I say that there's a problem, right? And I just keep on yelling that there's a problem, and I offer no solutions to fix it. You know? And then I use the excuse of, I haven't been working on. I haven't been working on any solutions for as long as you've been working on solutions. You need, that kind of thing. So it's if you take something like the globe model, right, which accurately predicts things and so it accurately predicts eclipses. It accurately predicts the orbits of the planets and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to that works. Flat earthers have no alternative explanation. They're basically saying, but we don't think. Look, this water. Give me a second. Yes, this water doesn't stick to my eyeballs, so therefore gravity doesn't exist.
Yes. I mean, if you want to posit a flat Earth model and everything, if you want to posit an alternative hypothesis to what scientific theory presents, then be my guest. That's what science is about. That's what people should be doing. But there's an important part of it, and it does have to offer the same predictive power as the current model provides. And if you're going, well, this is the Earth is flat, and even a statement you present itself is not even internally consistent, right? Because take the Eratosthenes experiment. You can take two measurements on on any position of the globe, right, along the line of longitude, and then you can use the flat Earth model to calculate the height of the sun. But as soon as you take a third measurement, then you find that the model becomes internally inconsistent.
Yeah.
And if you want to present a viable alternative to the current scientific consensus, which is invited, it is actively encouraged, then you do have to present one which doesn't fall down at the first hurdle.
Yeah, my current thing will be the Earth is flat, and I'm the only person that experiences life, so only my observations can be trusted. Nobody. It's all a simulation to make me think that the Earth is round, and yeah.
Okay, so if that's your mindset, then if you only trust your own observations, then please do not use any technology or anything like that until you can prove to yourself that a semiconductor works the way that the scientific model tells us that it works. And you're going to have to start at some very basic principles, and if you accept these very basic principles, then you can't reject the Earth being a globe, because they are inevitable consequences. And these basic principles are, I don't, and that's the thing. I don't think I haven't come across a flat earther who rejects things such as the conservation of energy, conservation of momentum, or the second law of thermodynamics. And when you put all of those things together, then the Earth is a sphere. And then the great thing is, because you can make that prediction from those very first principles ideas, you can make that prediction and then you can measure it.
Yeah. What I want to do, right, and this is something that the globe model would predict, is I want to set up an experiment, which I'd have to go to a radio station or something and set up a VHF transmitter and just point it at the moon, essentially.
Yeah.
And essentially, what I want to do is I want to be able to bounce VHF transmissions off the retro reflectors that are up there.
Yeah.
On the moon, and then receive them back. And I'd actually be able to what I'd like to do is I'd like to keep a wave file of the recording. So essentially a wave, what we'd do is we'd, do something like a clap, right?
Yeah.
And then wait for how long it takes to play that clap back. And hopefully I can record the initial clap and the return clap.
Yeah, it should be quite doable. I think Harry Walk just said a ham radio operator could help you with that. Any amateur radio clubs near you, and they can provide you support with that. But be careful. Make sure that it is VHF you're bouncing off the moon, not VHS, because Betamax is a far better format for that.
Yeah, when I hear of VHF, I'm nearly inclined to say VHS.
So am I.
And but yeah, essentially it's going to be I'll do a clap test and then I'll publish the wave file on the internet, and I need a publicly available place to maybe MCToon might actually be able to help me with that.
Yeah, MCToon is into that sort of thing. So
yeah, because same with this Blender file here. I want to be able to publish that for everyone to take a look at. That way, people can go ahead and they can take a look at it. Do all the things themselves. Say, hey, look, the sun is too big, or the sun is too small. Your sun is supposed to be a lot bigger than what it is on there. Let me just make the size 490 million times bigger than what it's than what you've got it at.
Yeah.
And then they can do that, and then when they realize that would cause absolutely no eclipses whatsoever, and it would also swallow up the Earth, because that's actually not what the size of the sun is. In reality, they can try and do that, and if they try and say something like that, people will probably debunk them. But this is essentially stuff that I want people to be able to download. People will be able to download this, take a look at it, tell me what I've got wrong, and essentially it's all. God damn it! I keep on
hotkeys and everything.
Yeah, I'm.
just stop playing with it.
Yeah.
Put on a pretty slideshow of some sort, something like that.
Yeah, I'll put on this, and they'll be able to do their own, take their own look at it, and say what they think is right and say what they think is wrong. It's all pre-built for them. It's not like I'm saying, you've got to go ahead and model this yourself. You can, you'll be able to download it. And actually, you can download it at this moment. It's on my Discord server, free for anyone to download.
Yeah, cool. What's your file type?
.blend.
.blend. Okay, so you do have Blender. Have to have Blender installed and kind of know how to work it. But that's fine. I'm sure that there are enough flat earthers who are eager enough to learn it to try and debunk it. So yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah.
It'd definitely be something new to talk about.
Yeah. One warning that I have is the 650 lights.
Sorry?
One warning I do have is the 650 lights.
Yeah, 650 lights, but that's fine. You've got a... I don't know too much about Blender. I know if you're doing ray tracing that you can just create one massive object which emits light, but it doesn't render stuff beyond a certain distance. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Yeah,
what I've essentially done is I've essentially set up if I knew how to make something emit light, I would have done it. But I was just set up 650 lights to get the shadows going as they should do, and because initially the shadows were very hard edged, So I essentially added more lights in, and it took me quite a while to actually do this. So I'm very proud of my achievements.
No, it's good. It's looking good. I've been trying to build kind of like just models of the solar system and using, lots of different objects and the gravitational potential that they produce to kind of create a nice simulation of the solar system. But it takes quite a bit of time, and I've never really, given it a lot of thought, or at least enough thought to spend more than an afternoon on it. Because I thought, it would be kind of cool, but it would be in a very kind of crude, very Python interface that, and a plot that is presented in such a way that you really need to, figure out, things like log transformations and all of that to kind of understand what's going on. So I kind of gave up on it.
And I just realized something that I hadn't actually switched to Firefox. I just go settings here. I'll actually switch the hotkeys off so that.
So MCToon is saying AB Science Python for the win. Of course, MCToon, it beats your crappy calculator any day. And that's a reference to a conversation a brief conversation that happened on this Discord about what's the best graphical calculator.
I actually remember this thing that I made in high school, and
right,
it was far better than anything that anyone else made in the school. So essentially what I did is I had a program which was a calculator essentially. So
yeah.
And so what I did is I took I'd do calculations on it, and first off it was only meant to do plus and minus to start off with. But I was like, screw that. Let's add division and multiplication, which was actually the challenge, especially when it came to actually division wasn't too hard, right? It was multiplication. It was adding new numbers in. So when someone pressed 1, I'd have that come up on screen. Then when someone pressed 2, I'd have it would come up as 12, right?
Yeah.
And I think the issue was when I added a decimal point in, and then things went all.
You've got to convert properly.
And
you've got to convert because you're probably working in Python 2.7 where you're inputting stuff as integers and not as floating point numbers. MCToon is saying HP 48 XG beats all. Was like, well, maybe I would agree with you if it can start solving second order non-linear partial differential equations. I may agree with you, but until it does that, Python.
And also, Brian Shannon donated $2 and said at MCToon at Planarwalk, and then had the boom emoji. Yeah. Actually, I'm pretty sure if I get one more member, then I get another emote. I don't know. I have an idea of what to put for it, but currently I have the idiot ding, the me sort of going something like that, and then I have Karen, and then the sort of thing with the fingers in the ear that you see.
Okay. Oh yes.
So yeah, I have an idea that the next one that I'll have is kind of like me screaming, because there was one time where I had my eyes closed and I was shouting water, and I feel like that works.
Water.
It's like I can't. I'm just trying to remember the comment. I'll be able to find it very easily. Meme material. Okay, it's not the right. God damn. Disable streamer mode. Nobody at me. Mentions. Because it. There we go. Mentions Cat Earther. Because I often, whenever I think that I've got some good meme material for Cat Earther, it's just like, do what you want with this.
Cat Earther does good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I love memes, Whenever someone comes up with memes, it's like, yeah, great.
Did someone... that's a bit of a shame. Yosh Troy disappeared from the chat.
Mentions
Yeah.
Has image. Okay. Yeah, I remember it. Now, it's. Let me just open link and copy it, and actually I'll go to this and go to that and just go properties and set it to be Firefox. All right, and where is it? There we go. And then paste that in. There we go. Now people will be able to see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so that's something that
Yes, I remember that. And there's all the guitars in the background as well.
Oh, yeah. If the secret for that video is I actually, 3 of the guitars I owned.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 of the guitars, I don't remember. Did I have a bass guitar in there? But
I don't think so.
But yeah, 2 of the guitars I actually borrowed off a friend. Or off my flatmate. Just so I could have so many guitars in there, putting a reference to your video.
Yeah, to be honest, for that video, I had actually planned on trying to get my piano in shot as well, and trying to kind of be cramped with a piano in this tiny space that I record in. But unfortunately, that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a bigger desk, and then I'll have a bit more space from that. I'll also be able to have a 3rd monitor and more tabs.
A 3rd monitor. More yeah, precisely. That would mean more tabs.
And more windows.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, if I just I load up a program here, there's one program. MCToon has 6 monitors. Oh, wow.
Yeah, are they all connected to the same computer?
I'm just gonna. There's a program here which I often use. Unfortunately, there's a limit on the amount of tabs that can sort of be viewed at once, and that's not ideal. But I'll open up a project which here we go. But yeah, anyway, this program, I can have tabs open, and it's more IQ. And There was something I was going to say earlier, but I completely. Yeah, more porn tabs is always the best.
Yes. Let's see, and apparently Clifford Butikofer has Monitor Envy. Well, I've only got one, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's something in the chat that I wanted to. I think my computer's going slow. What could are you playing a guitar or a banjo or a ukulele?
I'm playing my PRS, but it's not plugged in.
Ah, okay.
But okay, I do not think that would pick up on the mic, but apparently it does because it's. Oh yeah, I'm using the omnidirectional mic. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I see. Is this okay for me to show everyone when my computer finally MCToon? Because I just got to see what MCToon's setup is.
Oh god, is it really ostentatious?
He wasn't lying when he said he has 6 monitors. Yeah, I can't remember what. I feel like there's a lot of lag on the stream.
I think there may be because I don't know how long it sounds like to you before. Yeah, you can respond to me, but it feels like quite a ways.
Yeah, I'm trying to load a project in Visual Studio. It's like, this shouldn't be taking that long. It's not even that complex. I haven't implemented all the things in it.
Yeah, close down Blender maybe.
No, I think it's just the trying to load Visual Studio. What's coming up on here? Yeah, Visual Studio is using the most amount of CPU.
Fair.
And it's also using like 3.9 megabytes per second of disk reading writing. So that might be why it's taking so long. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
But yeah.
Yeah, okay. MCToon, that is indeed ostentatious. That's too much, man.
A lot of leg.
Zanyu says.
A lot of leg.
Zanyu says each
stream. Here's my legs.
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, even catching it in a Discord. But Zanyu says each tab adds 1 IQ point. Shit, I've only got one open.
That's where you're going wrong, mate.
Where am I going wrong? I mean...
Oh yeah, by the way, I just saw that Michael Lokium is in the chat.
Michael Lokium, so yeah.
And it reminds me that there was been exposed. We've been absolutely exposed. This whiteboard here is flat.
Yeah.
So it's part of the conspiracy.
Oh, it's flat. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
That
no,
makes
so
sense.
it means that the Earth is flat. These eggs are round, so they're in on it. This my desk is flat, so the Earth is flat. Yeah, it's a great video made by Michael Lokium.
Yeah, okay, I'm seeing that there's a lot of lag at the moment from what I'm seeing from feedback.
Yeah, why? Oh, there we go. I think it's all going well now.
Yeah, it took nearly a minute for you to say, or from what I'm hearing over Discord, it took nearly a minute for you to say eggs, and then for you to kind of show them on the screen. So,
Well, I'll hold my phone up on the chat, or on the thing, and I'll see how long it takes for it to come up on my thing. It only took a few seconds.
Okay.
You got to, if you click the red live button.
Yeah, I just saw it. Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. Okay, that seems okay now.
Yeah. So. God damn it! Someone added me, and that's gonna come through. Speaking of that, I was watching the thing on Fight the Flat Earth and Team Skeptic interviewing Simon Dan, and there were a lot of Discord notifications that I heard from. It's probably from Fight the Flat Earth's computer, and it's like, does he not know about streamer mode?
Yeah, well, turn off, but you know, these are things that you may not necessarily pick up when you're doing it.
Yeah.
In the thing, as we can see from a few streamers, you know, everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and everything. Them's the rules.
Yep, I've certainly experienced that, especially when doing my Scotty Storm impressions. Granted, it wasn't because of my Scotty Storm impressions.
No. It was absolutely. That's not a comment on the quality of your Scottish Storm impressions, but it is more to do with the fact that the internet just can't handle that bullshit.
Well, it was more. It was more to do with. It was more to do with this thing that I had muted my microphone because my microphone, which I just pressed, so you can actually just hear me now because I had pressed this button. And so what I'm saying right now is completely out of context just before because you couldn't hear what I was saying, and neither could the audience.
I was wondering. I was just thinking. Say, you are pulling my pisser right now, aren't you? By just muting the mic.
And someone says Super Hat doesn't work. Yes, it does. Super Hat always works.
I have no idea what that means.
I've put my super hat on.
Oh yes, that makes sense. I'm getting some serious delay actually. I should start making a tinfoil hat.
Yeah. But yeah, someone says Karen needs a super hat. And so Yaran is saying super chat. I'm like, I gotcha.
That's very different than super hat.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
What's interesting?
No, I'm just saying. It's like, no, I could buy you a beer. Apparently, via super chat. So, but as Karen was mentioned, I know you said you've kind of it's not a big secret, but perhaps to your viewers who may not regularly be in touch with you via Discord. So, what is your plan for your channel? Because you said some stuff, you've already suggested you're kind of moving away from the flat Earth stuff. So, what were you kind of thinking if you want to disclose that at this stage?
So, I am going to stick with some of the flat Earth stuff because there's always, despite them repeating themselves, there's always an abundance of content to make on it. But I do want to.
Yeah, it's always funny.
I do want to move more towards other issues because politics and conspiracies, you wouldn't think it, but they actually go hand in hand very well.
Funny that it's almost as if politicians are a bunch of shysters.
So when it comes to things like there's this conspiracy that I've heard called the White Genocide Conspiracy, and there's actually a flat earther that believes in it, and
I wouldn't be surprised if many flat earthers believe in that.
yeah, so that conspiracy, it's one of the ones that I want to say. Look, here's reasons why if this here's reasons why it's not true, and here's reasons why even if it were true, it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, so I mean, you have to be careful with that sort of thing. I mean, I suppose in New Zealand you're kind of all right with that, but the white genocide conspiracy, it is pure neo-Nazism, right? You have to realize that. It's and there's some very dangerous people around that who kind of push that shit, but it's nothing new. I'll actually can send you some. I don't know if you're familiar with it already, but and not give any potential sources away, but there's some good stuff for you. I could send you links to over Discord that actually talks about this a little bit more.
Yeah, I've seen,
because it's all of that. It's the what is it? The 14 words, whatever, and 8/8, and it's all that white genocide, all of that George Lincoln Rockwell type malarkey. It's actually nothing new. This has been going on for nearly a century now.
Oh, okay.
But it is pretty much as it stands from George Lincoln Rockwell onwards. It's a neo-Nazi conspiracy, and it is silly. But actually, funnily enough, I think it was Mark Sargent in Behind the Curve. He showed this book called The Greatest Lie Ever Told.
Yeah.
I think it was. And actually, I had a look into that a little bit more.
Okay.
And it is pretty much early Nazi propaganda.
Yeah. I just want to say, William Signs sent us $2 super chat saying it works for me. I mean, I suppose if he wasn't able to send that super chat, then it wouldn't work for him. So,
yeah.
Maybe try.
People send more super chats and everything just to see if it really works, right? Because this is a good scientific experiment. Send more super chats, because so it seems to work for him, but we need independent verification of that. This is the process of science. So everyone, super chat.
Tusk in the chat says, Planarwalk, did you see that Sargon of Dickwad got pelted with raw fish when he went out canvassing for a right-wing party? It was beautiful. I've heard about the whole Sargon thing that's happening with the UKIP, and that I still don't understand the whole thing, but as I understand it, there was as I understand it, it's a dumpster fire, essentially. It's like, as people have said on my channel, or no, they haven't said it on my channel, but from what I understand, never go full Sargon. And Brian Shannon says everyone was super chatting.
Everyone was, but because it didn't work, you missed out on a lot of cash there. That makes me think. That makes me think I really need to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can turn that thing on, do some live, some live streams and stuff like that, because I need some payback for the amount of beer I'm consuming now since I started this flat Earth shit. Because holy hell.
And MCToon says, donated $2 saying, check sibilance, yep, works.
Yeah, check sibilance. The microphone I'm using now is best, so yeah, you're probably getting a lot of that shit from me.
Yeah, my microphone is just a standard Yeti microphone, and actually now just to say, I've actually recently made my money back off YouTube.
Oh wow!
So, a couple $100 for this microphone. If you can see it on camera, there we go. I want to put it back down. Bit of money for this pop filter. Oh yeah, if you didn't know, I had a pop filter, by the way.
It's been the topic of discussion.
Yeah,
I've got a pop filter somewhere, but I don't use it at the moment. Now I've got a couple of Neumann mics kicking around here, which I use for
Neumann
the
U87.
185s. So they're actually they're really for kind of ambient overheads on drum kits. They're extremely expensive microphones. But it's all I've got, and I try to position them out of shot, but that's what I use for my edited for my edited stuff. It's really overkill for YouTube, and it's actually probably not even the best type of microphone to use for this sort of thing. But I've got my large diaphragm condenser, which I cannot position anywhere without it appearing in shot. Which, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of. So I've got those, but at the moment I'm just using my iPhone headset at the moment. But you'll notice that on my properly edited videos, you'll find slightly better sound quality.
Yeah. When it comes to overkill, I feel like Fight the Flat Earth, he does a bit of overkill on his production. It's good production quality, but he's got like 2 lights, the big lights to light him up. He's got like the whole green screen behind him. He's got
for his channel, I wouldn't call it overkill. I would call it ambitious. Yeah. He's taking his channel somewhere, and for him, it's more. It's now his main source of income, and he's building up on that, and it's great to see how he can do that in his situation, and it's one. So for him, it's an investment for big things that are to come.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's he's got a lot going there, and he's got a bit more of a future. In that, and he's making that investment. So, yeah, why not? So at the moment, it may seem overkill, but I see it more as future-proofing for him.
Yeah. For me, I would like a green screen, and I'll probably eventually get a green screen, but I wouldn't actually put it right here. I'd actually put it somewhere else in my room and just have... so I'd probably set up some sort of camera to point at the green screen. And I'm probably going to get some... I'd actually like to get a bookshelf as well, but that's beside the point. But yeah, I'd probably have something so that I have the camera pointed at it, and it would be for particular videos. Like, there's been one video which I've had on my mind for over a year now. Actually, nearly 2 years, right? And that's one where I, there'll be nothing on screen, and there'll be... essentially a background on screen, maybe some bricks that trail off, and I'll be like, "Hey, Nick! Hey, P-Source! Nick here."
Yeah, I mean, there's things I'd like to do with my channel production-wise, but that requires investment. And I've very clearly set rules. Like, I'm not going to invest in my channel if there are limitations for my channel growth for investment, then that be it. So if I need to invest to grow my channel, then I'll choose not to invest. And it's mainly because it's important to me. YouTube itself is not important enough to me in that sense. For me to spend that much time and money on it, because my norm, I'm in that lovely privileged position of my 9-to-5 job is awesome. I love it. and it is the best thing that you could do for a living.
Yeah.
So for me to kind of really grow beyond just like up to massive proportion, even to kind of fight the flat Earth level. I fear that it would just take up too much of my time for that to be sustainable.
Yeah, and that's fair enough.
And I like doing this. I like doing this YouTube thing, but I don't like it as much as playing with big ass lasers and shit.
And Yarun donated €1, I think it is. So he finally got the super chat working.
Hey, my call is working.
But yeah, essentially, when it comes to YouTube, I would like it to be a main source of income for me, and at the moment I have about 2 months to get it to a main source of income. But at the end of that 2 months, I'll find out whether I've got a year or a whole year and 4 months, I think it is.
Okay.
Or I might just have that 2 months. We'll find out at the end of the 2 months, but as I said, I can't disclose what this 2 months is about. Some people may know already.
Mm-hmm.
Some people may not know. But yeah, NASA fanboy Globehead just donated $5 and says, "I just want to hear Planarwalk say..." Wait, I already said it. But no.
You already said it.
He says, "Oh, I just want to hear Planarwalk say NASA fanboy Globehead." NASA fanboy Globehead.
So you said it several times. You've given it.
Yeah, I screwed up one of the
value for money. If you say it one more time, I think we'll be satisfied because that means he's paid $125 for every time you fanboy Globehead.
NASA fanboy Globehead. There we go.
There we go.
I love condenser mics for the proximity effect.
Yes, it is gorgeous. The problem is, I try to take advantage of it, but with my vocal characteristics, it can be quite problematic, especially because when I'm recording music, because I do a lot of industrial stuff where it's really bass heavy. So it's my voice just gets lost in it. So I actually need to take out one of the main characteristics of my voice to make it shriller, so it stands out over in the mix, which is really annoying.
People were saying, like J.E. Atwood says, "I'm now strangely aroused," and one person says, "Now with a sexier voice."
Yes, nice. It's a shame that when I just going on my normal, on my normal setup into Discord, it just keeps cutting out, as we've experienced. Because then I could actually use my proper microphones and everything, which would be, a bit nicer rather than having this tinny shit I'm talking through right now.
Yeah. Apparently, one thing I just want to bring up is apparently the New Zealand accent is, they've done some sort of study to show that it is the sexiest accent. So,
really?
Hell yeah!
Okay, well, now once that study has now proven it, so now I want...
It's just what I've heard. New Zealand accent.
I've been accused at times of having an accent, actually. Or having a New Zealand twang, not an accent, but a twang to it.
Yeah, so when I search it, I get this video here saying, "Is New Zealand's accent really the sexiest?" New Zealand accent voted sexiest in the world. International backlash to New Zealand accent being crowned sexiest in the world.
Well, you see, previously it probably never made it that far, but I think it's your activity on YouTube that's contributing to it. So.
And So, yeah, one person says, I'll hear a Kiwi on American TV and I'll want to vomit. Our accent is awful. And one said, I really don't think Kiwis have the world's sexiest accent because most of the world can't understand us. And that's actually true. Most of you American people can't understand me.
Well, there's actually a funny thing. The Scottish guy saying that his accent was his very thick Scottish accent was actually very easy to understand in the United States. And I remember that Train Spotting was shown in certain regions of the United States with subtitles. So,
Okay. When it comes to the New Zealand accent, though, it's like I am a native New Zealand. I'm a native English speaker. You know, it's my first language, and yet Americans can't seem to understand me all the time. And it's like, It's like, yes, I do have legs, and people go, "What are legs?"
Yeah, what are legs? Yeah, I mean,
it's legs are short for ligma. And but yeah, when it comes to I suppose it is the vowel sounds, but you know, it's I have lugs.
you have lugs, legs, lugs, snigma, ligma, snigma, ligma.
Yeah, and one person says, "No one tell New Zealanders about the results. It'll go straight to my head, straight to the head." And yeah, it kind of has, hasn't it?
Ugly German Teresa says Train Spotting probably needed showing 50% with subtitles 50% of Great Britain. Yeah, probably. I would say it's probably a bit bigger than 50%, to be honest. So, I mean, this comes from my perspective. I cannot get to grips with most British accents as a non-native English speaker. So I really struggle with accents quite a lot still, even though I fucking sound like this, and most people assume that I'm British. But yeah, as soon as there's a slight North or Scottish twang in it, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying?
One person is saying search up smegma, and no, don't.
No, don't Google smegma unless you find yourself not having had a shower sometimes. You know what that white stuff is, but
yeah, I one person says get Planarwalk to 1 Mio, and he can probably get Obama's anger interpreter. Yeah. You see, I am a very calm person. I am one of the calmest people you'll ever meet, right? And you know, sometimes flurfers can make me go, look, I want to fucking swear at you because you're such a fucking idiot. You know, I'm not mad at them for being a flat earther. I'm mad at them for being stupid, right?
Right.
And it's not so much that they're stupid, it's that they're stupid and they think that they're smart, right?
Yeah, and but I would take that to a level. I'm increasingly starting to doubt that we can use the word stupid to refer, especially in the case of flat earthers, to use the word stupid to refer to a low IQ. Because especially if we look at some of the flat earth content creators, you know, we are starting to see, you know, some really quite smart people. They're clearly quite smart because it requires quite a lot of intellect and creativity to be a charlatan.
Yeah. And
So I wouldn't call them stupid as in to mean, they are unintelligent. Their ideas are stupid,
yeah.
and all of that. But yeah, but yeah, they're fucking stupid.
Yeah, essentially. But when it comes to stupidity, like it's when it comes to stupidity, I find that it depends how you refer to smart, right? Because you can refer to smart as high IQ, but high IQ doesn't necessarily mean that you're smart. Like look at someone like who apparently has high IQ, Orphan Red.
Yeah, yeah.
Orphan Red, she apparently has like high IQ. It doesn't mean that she knows what to do with it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Look, I've avoided Orphan Red for quite a bit because she is a person that that really annoys me on many levels. She's clearly not stupid, but she pushes this whole kind of. If you look at her Twitter feed, on the surface, she appears to be pushing this kind of strong, independent woman, blah de blah, feminist rhetoric. Which, if you look at it a bit deeper, it's not feminist rhetoric at all. It is misandry mainly. But even if you take it at surface level, that feminist message that she tries to spread, it's in direct contradiction with how she presents herself.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I've got a few ideas. I'm actually working on my first kind of like real kind of debunk, or the kind of videos that are going around news. Taking specific flat earthers and doing videos on them.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on something, and the main topic is Orphan Red. And from that, I've been kind of looking at stuff a bit more, and I'm increasingly coming to the conclusion that she is not stupid, because there are things that she says which are very valid points. However, she abuses those points because she doesn't. For example, her message around, firstly, the way she uses it, that's not what the word scientism means. But secondly, she talks about how science should be done, which is perfectly correct. And, she makes some very strong points there, and she gives very good descriptions of the philosophy of science, or at least to the layman, they're quite decent descriptions. They're not, they're not spot on. There's a lot missing there, but then she says, well, this is what science should be, and this is what science is actually doing.
Yeah.
And that's where it goes completely wrong, because that's what the scientific community is doing. And what you're saying that the scientific community is actually doing, that is what the flat Earth community, right? Because she takes this scientism as trying to basically cherry picking data to fit the model and rejecting everything that doesn't fit the model. But that's flat Earth, not science.
In a nutshell, yeah. One thing that I do want to sort of bring up is, for some reason, your description of Orphan Red actually matches another YouTube channel, which I've thought about actually responding to, but apparently they've changed the direction of their channel a bit. And that is, have you heard of Girl Defined?
No.
Okay. It's two girls, and they basically talk about, it's not Flat Earth, but it's talking about Jesus and God and all that kind of stuff, and talking about how to be godly woman.
Right.
And Ugly German Truth said, "Oh God, the blonde zombies."
Yeah, I just saw that. No, I'm
No
surprisingly
cups
for a
involved.
YouTuber. I'm not that active on YouTube. Um, in like actually kind of viewing stuff, but I'm assuming this is around the kind of feminism arguments are made, the feminism points are made around
Yeah.
Orphan Red.
And one person
Because yeah,
says
go ahead.
that Girl Defined are the ones that Mr. Atheist talks about often. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, if my description of Orphan Red reminds you of those two, I'm assuming that these are people that present themselves in their, at least in their narrative, and what they say as being the strong, independent women, but the way they present everything, it's about, oh, please notice me, Mr. Man, because, yeah, I need validation from a bloke, essentially.
Kinda. It's they do have some good advice, but they often try and invoke God, and it's like I feel like good advice doesn't need to have God with it, but just
No.
Yaran says, "Go to bed early. In 9 hours, Sly will start his waterbending experiment live stream."
Sorry, I've just got the question. Yaron, the way he spells it, is his name pronounced Yarun by any chance? If you can let me know in the chat.
But yeah, it's. I think 9 hours. Let me think. That would be about 7 p.m. here. So yeah, I might be able to do that. Catch up with it. Hopefully live.
Yeah.
Just send me a reminder on Discord. But yeah, essentially the way that Girl Defined, they do give some good advice, but they attach God to everything, and they say things like you've got to make sure you have a godly man.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that I've got with Orphan Red, it's not, because most flat earthers, they as Radical would call it, they present horse shit. Now, because I like Radical for his very fine choice of using the word horse shit, because bullshit has a very specific meaning.
Oh, okay.
Because what Orphan Red presents is sometimes what she says is true. Sometimes what she says, well, most of the time what she says is completely false. And this is the definition, and you have to consider the difference between an untruth and a lie and bullshit, because an untruth is saying something that is not true, whereas a lie is saying something that is not true whilst being aware of the real truth and making the active choice to say something that's untrue, contradictory to the truth that you are aware of.
Yeah.
Whereas bullshit is an entirely different category, which is you make a statement without regard for the truth. So you can say something that's true, but you can say something that's not true. Mm-hmm. But it's classed as bullshit because the way what you said is it disregards the truth.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean there. And this is where Orphan Red falls in, because what she says, there's some stuff which is true and it's quite reasonable, but there's then a lot of stuff which is fundamentally false. But the things that she says that are true are used to build up authority on the subject. So she'll talk about the scientific method. Are quite accurate, but then she'll go into something like there's this video on images from the Cassini images from Saturn, and she says, no, it can't be true because there must have been a conscious observer on board of the spacecraft because of the photons requiring to collapse. You know that video. She spouts out this word salad where she just mentions things like wave-particle duality, probability functions, and all of those things. But she uses those big words. But she's also, on the same time, the same channel has been talked about something that's very sensible, which she's used to establish truth. Then that's bullshit. Because those untruths get taken as truth.
Oh, okay.
And that is the problem. And that's why she is so objectionable. Because she uses the truth to hide her untruths. And therefore she presents a superficially convincing case to people who don't really understand what she's talking about, because at the end of the day, right, it's quantum mechanics, right? You can talk about, to the average guy to the average member of the general population, you can just throw in the words, oh, it's not possible because of photons being in a quantum superposition, and you need to have a conscious observer for that part. The wave particle duality to collapse, and otherwise it would just be a wave, and you need it to collapse into single particles for it to be observed and as a conscious observer. So there needs to be a conscious observer on board, and that's why this is fake. Now, everything she said is firstly incorrect, and secondly, it doesn't even apply. But because she has managed to build this very interesting sounding and superficially well-informed case, that she can be considered convincing to the layman. Yeah. And that is why I take specific umbrage with her channel, because people like
Dolores Umbridge?
Dolores, yes. But people like Antonio Subaras or all the other kind of YouTube channels, they're kind of you can look at it, it's like, well, you can buy into that shit or you don't. You can very clearly see what they're talking about is complete and utter horseshit. But with
one thing
Orphan Red, it seems... sorry.
One thing I just want to say, because it's slowly going up to the top of chat and disappearing, and that person you asked how his name was pronounced earlier, he said, yes, it's...
it is Jeroen. Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought as much. Yeah, that's my brother. Well...
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah.
These are my issues with it. You get my point with it, right?
Yeah, it's saying things like it's like Deepak Chopra, right?
5 seconds before.
What?
Yes. I was just about to mention his name. It's because he throws in quantum field stuff like that, which is really mind-bending ideas in physics, but because he uses them superficially in a convincing way to people, and the fact that he's got some PhD behind his name, I'm pretty sure that he purchased this PhD for 60 quid on the internet. But shit, I've just made this channel libelous, haven't I? Allegedly purchased that for 60 quid over the internet, but because he sticks that PhD behind his name, then and he talks about these big words that makes him superficially look as if he knows what he's talking about, but it's bullshit. And I think I did a video on this. I released this a while ago, and it's just about shit. What was it about? Was the main point was the irony in flat Earth, and I actually posted a little bit, which I narrated after some pretty soundtrack, just to kind of demonstrate the kind of bullshit that Eric DeBay pulls, right? Just generate random word salads over some pictures with highly produced voice and everything. And it lulls you into this relaxed state where you're susceptible to these ideas, and you have authoritative sounding voices talking big words and all shit you don't understand. And then there's a very nice, snappy, simple conclusion. And that means, because of all of those big sounding, clever words, but suddenly that's drawn me back to this really nice, snappy conclusion. I'll believe that conclusion because of all of that really clever shit that he's just said.
Yeah. And that's...
and it's completely void. It's empty.
Yeah, it's kind of like... so I've got here on screen it's a site called wisdomofchopra.com. All right.
Oh.
And it gives me Deepak Chopra quotes, which are generated by a AI. So, like right here, I've got the future co-creates pure happiness.
Yeah, the ultimate one for that is go to New Age Bullshit Generator. Just Google that. All right, and read it out in your most soothing voice, and take advantage of the proximity effect on your large condenser mic. It is a beautiful thing, my friend.
Let's see how this goes.
So Tusk comments about Orphan Red as well, saying that the
is it Seb Pierce / bullshit or?
Hold on, let me just quickly double. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay,
it's a beautiful thing.
So I've got here. So I've got to. So if I go recognize electrons,
reionize electrons. Yeah. So Michael Holmes says that Orphan Red talking about getting accepted into Mensa is also an effort to legitimize and strengthen her position.
Yeah.
I would say that's absolutely 100% accurate.
All right.
I have actually been in I've actually had moods where I've been arrogant enough to think like, maybe I should take the Mensa tests drunk and see what happens. But A, I don't want to spend the money to do it. And B, it would just be a bit self-indulgent. So I've decided against it.
Yeah.
But yes.
Anyway.
That is beautiful.
Okay,
remember, proximity effect. Proximity effect is important in this. In your most soothing voice that you can imagine.
I'll try. I can't hear my voice back, so I'll see what I can do. Starfire is the driver of potentiality. Today, science tells us that the essence of nature is growth. You and I are dreamers of the totality. The fount of presence is now happening worldwide. Non-locality is the knowledge of conscious living, and of us. The quantum matrix is full of pulses. We exist as psionic wave oscillations. Gaia will align us with spiritual starfire. The quantum matrix is approaching a tipping point. This circuit never ends. The planet is calling to you via frequencies. Can you hear it? It can be difficult to know where to begin. How should you navigate this perennial dreamscape? We can no longer afford to live with pain. Soon there will be a refining of serenity the likes of which the solar system has never seen. Eons from now, we dreamers will dream like never before as we are reborn into the Nexus. Imagine a deepening of what could be.
That was a beautiful thing. I had to do it because this shit makes me giggle all the
time. That's great. But yeah, another thing is So, aside from New Age bullshit generator and random and wisdom of Chopra, the same wisdom of Chopra thing was used for this one here that I'm going to put up on screen. Wonder. Let me just. And it says something like, traditional archetypes influences innumerable timelessness. Do you... I'm guessing you know who that is.
Wait, hold on. My resolution is really bad, but is that Jordan Peterson?
Yep. Yeah, wisdom of Peterson.
He's another fucking shot. Oh, God.
Yeah. More wisdom, please. Everything differentiates into the light of knowledge. Apparently, I need to raise the pitch a few notches. I'll see.
Have you got the link that directs you to the random word generator that was produced for Right Hand?
Oh, was there?
Yeah, so someone actually said all discourse transcripts for Right Hand. Shit, but I think it's too far back in the chat now to pull that out.
Okay, if anyone has that, let me know. But yeah,
I'm gonna have a look and see.
The metaphorical depends on reckless metaphorical substrate. And if you want to understand that, you've got to read all my books and listen to all my lectures. One thing that I'll say about Jordan Peterson is a lot of people say, oh, you just don't understand what he's saying, right? And it's like, well, sure, if I don't understand what he's saying, like, you know, he does say good stuff, I'll admit. He does give good advice. But that advice is, like, some of his advice is, too sort of, trying too broad, right? It's like if I give you some advice, I can give good advice, and I can give good advice for a particular situation. But as a clinical psychologist, you should know that not, everybody has a unique situation. The whole pull yourself up by the bootstrap isn't going to work for someone that has depression and who's not motivated to pull themselves up by the bootstraps.
Yeah, I mean, he markets himself as a clinical psychologist. I don't know anything about his track record as that. Fuck it. I'm just gonna have a quick Google search about him and see what he looks in, because he's a full professor, University of Toronto. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Career. He studied aggression arising from drug abuse, blah, blah, blah. Supervised a number of unconventional thesis proposals. Okay, interesting. By the way, to any people that believe in this scientism bullshit, he supervised a number of unconventional thesis proposals. So that means that a scientific funding institution funded these people to look into these unconventional ideas, right? You got to remember that, right? The science is not suppressing alternative hypotheses. Okay, anyway. Oh, fuck it. I can't really see 12 Rules of Chaos. Right, so he seems to be, from my understanding, he seems to be on the extreme end. You have to take personal accountability.
Yeah, and And
You
that's
know, and I don't think anyone can disagree with that at a level.
yeah.
Now, I completely disagree with it at the extreme level that he presses. But, you know, there has to be a certain level of accountability, right?
Yeah.
Personal accountability. But he takes that as a complete, as an extreme case where, you know, there is no social accountability. And that is problematic.
Well, I think what he does is he tries to tie in, like, because he does. There have been times where I've listened to him and I've gone, wait, he's actually making a good point here, you know, and or he's making a good point that I hadn't considered, and that's one of the things that actually made me think, maybe antidepressants aren't such a bad thing, because his point was essentially, at least if you're depressed, at least try antidepressants, because if you're dead, we
Oh,
can't do anything once you're dead if you've committed
no,
suicide.
yeah, antidepressants are not a bad thing at all. It's the drug itself, it's a great invention and do the job really well. What the issue is the prescribing culture around antidepressants, right? It's because healthcare systems around the world are stretched thin, and there's a certain prescribing culture around it that is problematic. And there's a lot of things which he's saying, especially things that I can kind of go, well, maybe I see a point. Mainly his points around identity politics and everything, because I consider myself as quite a diehard liberal, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of issues around identity politics that I take real major issue to, because to me it feels like you're detracting from the real issue. Because whilst you're talking about whether we should call, or for example, and I think Jonathan Pye for the UK viewers did a thing on this. It's like, if you start talking about black people, Asian people, people of ethnic minorities in different groups and stuff like that, with entirely contrasting cultures, but suddenly that is no longer an acceptable term, and you have to call that BAME. And I find, so hold on, so people who are entire ethnic groups and cultural groups which are completely contrasted now have to be just slotted under the same umbrella term because that's the politically correct thing to do, whilst proposing a term which completely ignores all the nuances, and not even nuances, the glaringly obvious difference in cultures and different challenges that these people experience in day-to-day life in Western society. Now suddenly we have to just pump them into one big box.
Yeah.
And that is the politically correct thing to do. I find that really objectionable.
Yeah, I myself.
But that's not Jordan Peterson's issue, right? His issue is I am not allowed to call a black person the N-word because that's offensive. Now, again, I'm like, well, it's a word, right?
Well, actually,
I hate the word.
Well, actually,
I hate the word.
Actually, you're getting things wrong. His issue is not with being able to call black people by certain words. It's Bill C-16 was forcing him to it was basically forcing him to call trans people by their preferred pronouns, and they could request him to call them an attack helicopter if they wanted, or some shit like that. I don't understand. And apparently he completely lied about it.
Yeah, it's complete bullshit, and it's a reductio absurdum. But that's the thing. It's because my opinion, words have meanings, and I'm a descriptivist when it comes to language. So I'm very strongly, well, a word can have the meaning which you want it to have. It can have the connotation which you want it to have. So at this moment in society, say using the N-word, it's really offensive, it's wrong, you should not use that. But there's nothing to stop us from a society collective. Actually, no, let's disarm this word.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I were a woman, I would not be offended by words like bitch or slut. I would be offended by words like you're going to get paid less.
If I was a woman, I'd be offended by something like "get in the kitchen, bitch." You know, that sort of
Precisely.
thing. You know, that sort of thing would offend me if I was a woman.
Yeah.
As a man,
I find this.
And
yeah, sorry, Karen.
I was just gonna say, as a man, if someone says to me, "Get in the kitchen, bitch," that doesn't offend me. You know, it's like I take that more as a joke.
All the time. My wife says that all the time because I'm the person who normally cooks. But that's the thing. But I recently ran into trouble. You know, where a guy wasn't, because of this shitty accent that I've got. I kind of, you know, we were having a conversation, just banged on the table with my fist, saying all these fucking immigrants, they're coming in there, you know, bloody, 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 bloody. And everyone there knows that the first generation immigrants and, you know, knows my backstory. But there was one guy who wasn't aware of that. And he took real deep offense. And it took a while for him to be explained to him that this was an ironic statement. You know, I'm a first generation immigrant, you know, and all of those things. It was a joke. But also, on the other hand, you know, I've been in a situation where I said, I went out with all the gays last night, had a wonderful time and everything.
Did you have a gay old time?
I think I may have used... Sorry?
Did you have a gay old time?
I had a gay old time, but I think I may have used a slightly, you know, to what's generally considered a more offensive term. But that's because within my friend group, with all these people, you know, it's perfectly fine. We've owned, you know, they have owned that term. They've taken ownership of it, and they've decided that this has a different meaning now.
Yeah.
And but to this group, they took that as slightly offensive. And but you know, what is a more offensive thing? I went out with let's just say I went out with a bunch of queers last night, had a wonderful time, or I hate homosexuals.
Yeah,
which is the more offensive term.
Yeah, saying that you
the
hate...
one that uses the more politically correct language is way more offensive than the one that isn't. And
to be fair,
it's context.
To be fair, though, when you said I hate homosexuals, it didn't really have the same power as if you said, I hate these homosexuals.
Yeah.
You know, got to use a redneck accent.
Sorry, but you can't possibly know what would offend you as a woman. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I can, at best, perform an intellectual exercise.
Yeah. And that's...
But beyond that, I don't know. And when I say these things, I do want you to remember that a lot of this is an intellectual exercise, and that's just it, right? I cannot possibly understand what what modern day society is.
And I do feel as though a lot of what we've got these days is a lot of people. You know, empathy is a great thing. It's good to feel empathy towards someone, but you know, there's songs out there like there's one song out there that's made by a black rap group, I think, and they're basically saying, you know, let white kids say the N-word. You know, and it's like, I don't, you know, I don't encourage people saying it in the racist way, you know, but I don't mind if someone says it in a non-racist context. So if I were to say it right now, I'm not going to, because I feel like a whole lot of people would get offended at me.
Yeah, I would as well.
But if I said it in a non-racist context right now, I feel like that's perfectly fine. But it's when you go out and say, say it in a blatantly racist way. So, and even then, you may have some black people that might say, well, that doesn't bother me, because a word is only as powerful as the power that you give it.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that, because a word is only as powerful as the power you give it. If I give a word, if I give a word a certain power, then that, if I say this word is offensive to me, I'm giving that word power. So just say I say that cracker is offensive to me, and everyone should just stop using the word cracker, right? Then I'm giving that word power. Whereas if I say, nah, you can use cracker if you want, then that word loses all that power that it had to offend me, and that's the problem that we've got.
Yeah, but there's on the other side, perfectly aware of that people don't necessarily take this view, and you do have to, consider those people. And my rule is, if there's any possibility of offending the people that you're talking to, then avoid using those words. Now, I have run into trouble, but mainly because Tusk makes a very, very important point there, and that's you have to remember that you are never the actor of what constitutes offense. Offense is the preserve and privilege of the target, and that is a very important point. Because you can say something in jest, you can say something with the intention that is not that is not offensive. That could be your intent, not to offend, but it could be construed as offended. So we do have to be careful with how we use language and everything. But if we take it back to Jordan Peterson's rhetoric, it fundamentally comes to an enforcement of that. Now, but also have to highlight that Jordan Peterson's rhetoric around that is woefully misinformed.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I remember correctly, he talks about universities forcing people to use certain non-gender specific pronouns or things like that. And there was recently enough, I think it was University of York, where supposedly that was forced on the academic staff, and the academic staff went, "No, that was never forced upon us."
Okay.
It was there was a reminder that it may be a more considerate way of using language, but it was never forced.
Okay. Yeah,
and that's the issue. It's because the world picture that Jordan Peterson paints is very far removed from.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I take the stance of, if you're talking with someone, be considerate. If you're talking, just say you're talking with someone who's just say you're talking with someone and you bring up autistic screeching or something like that, and they say to you, "Hey, I don't like you using that." I think it's more of courtesy to basically say, "Okay, I won't use that." Or if you're talking with someone and you say something like you bring up the word retard, right? And someone says, "Look, I would rather you not use that word." I think that it's more respectful to just say, "Okay, I won't use that word," rather than
have a conversation about it. Because, funnily enough, I've had conversations with people who have held some very offensive views from my standpoint around equality, gender equality and everything. And no, mate, what you are saying is really quite, it's offensive. It's not only wrong, but what you're saying it's really offensive. But at no point did that person in that conversation use any politically incorrect language, right? And that's my point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
there is power there's a power the individual can take and saying that's like, no, that's not a cool word. But
yeah,
this all boils down to a very simple philosophy that people should take account for in how they interact with people, and it's very simple. Do not be an asshole.
pretty much.
Just stop being an asshole. Have respect for the fact that people have different opinions to you, that they lead different lifestyles to you, that their minds work differently in whatever way. Have respect for the fact that whatever you think the world should be, that there are other people who might have a different view.
Yeah, and when it comes to like the whole gender pronoun issue, my take on it is, you've got, if someone wants to be called, a man or a woman, and they identify as one or the other, I'm not against saying like he or she, and I actually get really uncomfortable when I don't know if you're a male or female, because there are some people which I've seen and I'm like, are they male or are they female? I do not know, right? Because it could be either one, right? So I think that having a word there that can be used for both male and female is a good idea, and that's why them, I think, is a good word. Them
I think it's a good word, but on the other hand, and I know that this requires a little bit more intimacy with a person, but and you can't just go up to a random stranger in the street, obviously, and go, "What's your preferred pronoun?"
Yeah.
But there is a point where I suppose you maybe I can be, if someone can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but there may be a point where you say, like, is your preferred pronoun? It's like, obviously they or them can be part of that, because the only example that I've got in my personal life is an individual who does actually prefer to be referred to as they or them, and he or she.
Yeah.
Right? But and that's the thing. It's about the individual cases. You have to respect that. So have that conversation and be open about it, because another big part, and this is again just my opinion, another big part is this Puritan kind of worldview that somehow we have to pussyfoot around these topics.
Yeah.
And we can't just be like, what's your preference? And it's just around the whole thing is, yeah. But I suppose we live in an age where gay people still, struggle with coming out of the closet, and even just the fact that the phrase "being in the closet" exists, right? We still live in an age where these things are touchy subjects, and it may be that people are not comfortable with it. And I've experienced myself. I can be overly brash about these topics because I'm like, well, yeah, you're gay. So what? Am I supposed to give a damn? Because, yeah, you're okay.
Yeah,
that's it.
Essentially, I think that it would be best to adopt they or them, right? And someone said, there's the pronoun of ze, and then there's ze and zer. And I find
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where to use them, so it's difficult for me to use them, but I can still use they or them because, if I don't know whether you're a male or a female, it's
Yeah.
probably best for me to not go, if I say to someone, what's her name, and it turns out that that person that I'm referring to is a male, then it's like, oh shit, I've just, that's awkward.
Yeah, but there's a certain level on the other side you've got to kind of consider the fact that people are idiots, right?
And
If I refer to someone as he or she, whereas they prefer to be called they, then yeah, please correct me, and there we go. Then that's it. That's done. And to be honest, I doubt that people who truly are in that situation, or many people who truly are in that situation, would take offense. Again, I can't speak for that, for these people, but it's only reasonable that, there's the assumption that I meant no offense.
Yeah, I think that the best way to go about it is I'll offer respect. Sometimes I will assume your gender, yes, because people will always assume your gender. And if you assume my gender to be female, I'll just give you a small sideways look and be like, dude.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. I won't be like, you fucking misgendered me. You fucking assaulted me. I feel oppressed now. I'm not going to do that because that's not the way to go about it. Because I've been misgendered before, and it actually does give you a bit of being misgendered. Actually, funnily enough, does give you a bit of insight into what it is like to be the other gender. You kind of see, holy shit, guys can be complete assholes at times.
Yeah, people can be complete and utter assholes.
But then
we can't discount ourselves from being assholes. I know I can be an arsehole at times, and I can really fuck up. But it's about ownership of that, right? It's I try to own it when I'm being an arsehole and say, right, I'm being an arsehole.
Yeah.
So if anything I'm saying in this chat is, it comes across as me being an arsehole, then please tell me I'm being an arsehole, because, as I said, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be offending people. I don't want to be an arsehole. And, I like to consider myself as somewhat enlightened on these social issues, but I am far from a guru on this stuff. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'm open to that, and I'll incorporate that, right?
Yeah, it's like I've had arguments with people about things like one person I had an argument about, just trying to think of what it was about. Essentially, I was saying pansexual is the same as bisexual, right? It's not exactly the same, but you can use bisexual to describe someone who is pansexual, and it would still be correct, It's like if I have... pansexual is like an extended description. So if someone is pansexual, they're still bisexual, and yeah. And so...
Yeah.
And this person was, saying, no, they're not the same, And I'm like, yes, they are. Like, they're not exclusively the same. It's just that one of them describes another one better. And if someone is bisexual, and they, someone might say, oh, I'm bisexual, but I'm not pansexual. And it's like, okay, you can have that description if you want. And someone may say, I'm pansexual, but I'm not bisexual. And I'm like, well, pansexual is kind of a subset of bisexual,
I'm not sure where you're going with.
I was just saying, like, it's kind of when it comes to pansexual and bisexual, it's like it's pansexual. I've had arguments with people and about this, and it's like I feel like sometimes people sort of try to categorize everything too finely, you know?
Yeah, there's a good saying. Yeah, people trying to characterize things too finely. I mean, it is a bit of a overly clinical approach to categorizing human beings, in my opinion, because for me, it doesn't matter. We're a human being,
Yeah.
simple as that.
And
That's what I care about.
and when it comes to like you know, when it comes to your sexuality, I don't give a fuck, right? As long as you know, I used to sort of consider myself as one of these people that's like who, you know, if someone's gay, you know, that's fine, just as long as they don't do anything gay to me. But then I realized that was kind of, you know, placing them in a box. And it's like, you know, and you know, there's people which I didn't even know that they were gay until they said, "Oh yeah, I'm gay," and it's like, holy shit, I didn't realize, I didn't realize that, you know.
Yeah.
And it's, and you know, at the end of the day, I may be a little bit creeped out if a gay person tries to make a move on me, but much in the same way that I'll move away if someone who I'm not attracted to, even though I'm straight, you know, like just say a girl that I'm not attracted to tries to make a move on me, I'd probably move away from that too, you know?
To be honest, I'm the exact opposite, because if a gay dude were to come on to me, then at least I know what to say. So I can quite easily say I'm flattered, but yeah, I don't swing that way. Whereas with women, it's an entirely different business. I'm a clueless mess when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah. I'm probably better at it. I'd probably be actually far better at jokingly flirting with gay guys than I would be actually trying to flirt with with girls.
Yeah. But anyway, that's probably a bit too personal for a show where actually only 23 people are watching now.
Yeah. I'll probably ended up, but there is one thing that I just wanted to pull up before I ended it. All right. And I've just got to. But eventually, I might get into this on an actual. Eventually, I might get into this on an actual video, because I am, as I said, I do want to kind of go down the politics route, but I don't. The problem is, the problem when it comes to the politics route is it's very messy, and people try to box you in as either being one of those SJWs or an alt-righter, and it's like, sure, I'm closer to the people on the SJW side. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of the SJWs that you know, are shouting at people saying, "Oh, this person sexually assaulted me." But
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I've got this. I've got this thing here, this program, which the main program has 105 lines, and some of it isn't even going to be used in the final program, and it's got a couple of classes, and I've got 6 tabs open in Visual Studio. So you see,
oh, that's extreme high IQ.
Yeah, that's.
It's not just any tabs; it's Visual Studio. Oh,
yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna play this thing because I've essentially wrote a program to read MIDI, right?
Okay.
So let's hope that this works. Oh, it's got to do all the things that it's got to do. It's starting a build. My computer seems to
You
take
gotta
ages.
compile it first.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
my computer seems to take ages to compile, and there we go. We've got starting.
But yeah, in the meantime, I completely agree with your position. It's about this polarization in the debate. It's like it seems that somehow. Oh, yeah, boy.
I don't know if you hear this on your side.
I'm not hearing anything.
Well, you'd have to have the stream open to be able to hear it.
Oh yeah, I suppose, yeah. Let me just turn up the volume on that.
No, it's not Fruity Loops, it's Visual Studio.
Have you ever heard of a program called Pure Data?
No, I haven't. What is it with Australians and spiders, someone asks? I mean, I can actually, what I can do is I can close this down, and if I change one letter, and then Control F5. Completely different song. I've got two files and there.
Yeah. No, if you get to grips with Pure Data, it's an entirely different way of programming, but it's really good for audio processing and stuff like that. You can have a lot of fun with that.
Okay. Yeah, so Visual Studio isn't... One thing I've got to say is Visual Studio isn't actually a music software. I've just managed I've just managed to take the programming side of things, and essentially this program here, currently it's probably on a line somewhere around, it's probably in this loop here. Yep, this loop, I think. But yeah, and then there's this thing here which also reads the MIDI, and it's probably doing something with this as well. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit good fun.
Yeah, and this took me... There was a night of headaches where I was trying to work out, why isn't this working? And I was just trying to work it out, and it's like... I just couldn't...
Yeah, with programming, 10% of the time you look at, you think about how it works, what you have to do, and then the rest of the time you just spend figuring out why the fuck it's not working.
Yeah. Eventually I worked out that I was... So when it came to the program, or passing the MIDI, right, I had problems with reading the strings and all that.
Yeah.
And not so much that, it was even just some of the commands were just saying, look, I don't understand what's going on here. And I was like, okay, I don't understand what's going on here. And eventually I had a look through it, and it's like, oh, not everything is the exact same size. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And especially when it came to the command things, like you can have a whole lot of commands that you can do in MIDI, and not all of them were the same amount of bytes, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, and 1 minute debunk says MIDI is quite a messy format, and I agree, actually. Because you've got...
MIDI is a beautiful format. MIDI is gorgeous.
I will I will politely disagree with your opinion there.
Well, and why is that?
That is because it has 3 different types.
Yeah, alright. But apart from that.
And I've worked out that the type of MIDI in the file that I'm reading is like type 1, I think. It's like...
Oh yeah, if you didn't know what type 1 MIDI files, okay. But appreciate it. But yeah, MIDI is amazing. I mean, I'm assuming from all the time you do recording and stuff like that. You record some of your own stuff?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I've actually got a song which I've got to release, and I kind of need to... I feel like I should, like, grow my beard out and try and actually, look a bit better before I actually record a music video for this song. And I need a lot of powder for this song, like white powder stuff. Because...
Right, okay. You're getting quite ambitious.
I have flour, which I could use.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I once played a gig. I don't know if you know the gothic industrial band Mortis.
I don't.
Big nose. They were quite big a few years. Quite a few years in the industrial metal scene, and we were in a dressing room, and we did not know what was cornstarch or what was cocaine. Put it that way.
Yeah. Essentially, the song name is Cocaine, and I'm hoping to put it on. I'd like to be able to put it on iTunes so that you can go to iTunes and buy Cocaine. Yeah,
well, you can already go on iTunes and buy Cocaine because Eric Clapton.
Oh yeah, it's essentially a cover of Eric Clapton, but with more heavy guitars and.
Fair enough.
You can actually listen to part of it on. Oh yeah, now I've got to close the program down. Because people are probably wondering, okay, what's the program now trying to do?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm actually working on a few tracks myself, hoping to release that as an AP at some point soon.
Yeah. I'm hoping to sort of get into video game production, and I've got a few tunes which people will... Oh yeah, one person says, was that uninitialized memory I just heard? No, it wasn't uninitialized memory. It was initialized. It had gotten to this part of the program. And eventually I need to fix that bit of the program up so that it actually works as I intended it to. Because currently it just... inserts a random number and gets a random thing out of it. So no, it's not uninitialized memory. It's
actually, that makes me think. The other day, that randomly generates melodies.
Okay, this is going to take a more.
So I think I might have a play with that.
This is going to generate more. More based on the tune that it's heard, that it's going to try and generate music. But one thing I do want to say before I end up the stream, because it's starting to get to a point where I should probably end it, is I do want to say that generally I release 2 videos a week and do a stream, right? And so essentially... I didn't release a video on Thursday like I thought I would, and I may actually have to change up the day that I stream a bit and change my schedule, and then I might be able to get some other guests on if I do that. But essentially, what I'm going to... I've been saying essentially too much. Fuck, gotta stop saying essentially.
Don't worry about it.
I've essentially got to stop saying essentially. But... yeah, when it comes to the video, there's a reason why I didn't release a video, because I can't actually say why, but the video wasn't done in time. And it will be released next week, and I've got to re-record it, because this whole script has changed, and I cannot even confirm that NASA didn't write the script for me. That's yes, I can't confirm that NASA didn't write it. I can't confirm that they did write it. You'll just have to wait and see.
It's the old Glomar response. We can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah. Hello, IT. Have you tried forcing an unexpected reboot? I'm trying to work out what that response is, what that comment is for. Is it for what I did on the computer, or is it for what I cannot confirm nor deny? But yeah, I do have a couple of videos coming up. So I think I'm going to do a response to this guy that commented on my video who doesn't know what perspective is about. And I am probably going to do so I've got, calendar's on screen. That's good. So that would probably come out on the Monday. And then on the Thursday or Friday, I'll have another video. And then on the Monday the 20th, I'll be making a video about Sleepy Warrior, and same for Thursday the 23rd. I'll be making another.
Oh yeah, it's Sleeping Warrior week, isn't it? Starting the 20th.
Yeah, so that week I'll be talking about independent variables and all that good stuff.
That's really painful, because I had a thing. I do actually have a thing ready to be released for that.
But when it comes to independent variables, there's one thing that I disagree with, right? And it may be my monumental ignorance about it. And, that's okay. I could be ignorant about it. But I disagree that time can't be a dependent variable.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
What?
Time can absolutely be an independent variable. It absolutely can be.
I'm meaning
no question about it.
I'm meaning a dependent variable, not an independent variable. Because I agree that time can be an independent variable, but I've heard people say that time is always the independent variable, and I'm just thinking, wait, why can't it be the dependent variable?
It can be the dependent variable as well.
Oh, it can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Hell yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was gonna say, because I keep on seeing a lot of things which say time is always the independent variable, and I'm thinking, well, what if you're making measurements at a set distances apart, right? And you're checking for a relationship that is non-linear, right?
Well, the thing is, this is about dimensional. So if you're plotting time against time, then your relationship is dimensionally it has no dimensions. And that's all it is. It's all about dimensional analysis. So yeah.
Like if
time can be a dependent variable. It's now the way people say, and this is a very important thing, time is always an independent variable. But there's a lot of nuance to that statement.
Oh, okay.
Because just because time is always an independent variable, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's important or has any impact.
Because the way that I was just going to say, the way that I view it is, if I have a whole lot of posts measured a meter apart each, right, and I want to measure the speed of something going past these posts, but the speed is not the speed is not a linear speed. It's changing. So if it goes past when it goes past the 1 meter post, it takes. Let's just say that it takes 1 second to go 1 meter.
Yeah.
And then when it goes past the 2 meter post, it's something like it's 3 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it goes past the 3 meter post, it's 7 seconds.
1, 2. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's basically to each of these posts, it's taking a different amount of time, but the distance is remaining constant. So I think that that's more of a and you've got people that I actually. There's one person that's saying distance can't be an independent variable because it doesn't change anything. It's like, okay, if I want to measure a time-distance relationship, what is my independent variable and what is my dependent variable?
Right. So the simplest, the most catch-all universal definition of what the independent variable is whatever the fuck you want it to be. All right. If you can stick it on the x-axis of your graph, and that's purely by convention, it can be your independent variable.
Okay.
As simple as that. Regardless of whether you physically manipulate it, regardless of whether you manipulate it directly or indirectly, it doesn't matter. Regardless of whether you measure it, It doesn't matter. It's whatever the hell you stick on your x-axis of the graph. And I like to take on the definition of the independent variable, the quantity that provides the context for observed change. Because I think it's a pretty catch-all kind of definition of what it can do. Time is always an independent variable, but an independent variable can have zero impact on your dependent.
Yeah.
So it can be ignored.
Yeah.
So, but that's the issue. It's the flat earth definition of what the IV and a DV can be. It's
And you've got one
quite
person,
strict.
Yeah, well, you got one person in the chat saying Manolus, or his name is Manolus, and it says you can't change time, you can't go back in time. Wait, what?
Yeah. That makes sense, right? We travel forward in. We always do that. We are time travelers, right? We're always traveling forward in time. However, we can't travel back in time, and that's quite easy. We can do it magically, but no, we can't. We can't do a physical experiment that backtracks time. We have to do that through interpolation.
Yeah, but you can choose when the experiment starts. You can choose how much time passes when you measure certain things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you can absolutely have time as an independent variable because you manipulate it in in not the strictest sense, but in a more.
I would say that time is always an independent variable. It's not necessarily an important one. If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do get what you mean.
That's just the way it is.
And what he says is what he's saying is what I want to say is that can't change the real time.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
It's if I want to measure the speed of something, if I want to measure the speed of sound, for example, I've got to take measurements of both distance and time, and I'd argue that if I'm measuring the speed of something, that if I want to measure the speed of sound, I'd argue that distance would be my independent variable, and this and the speed, the time taken would be the dependent variable. But you could switch those around.
Well, and even further, it depends how you, right? Because actually, in that situation where you're measuring speed, you're measuring speed, so you're measuring position as a function of time. And mathematically speaking, your dependent variable would be position. Your independent variable would be time.
Okay.
And your figure of merit would be speed. Because that's the other issue. There seems to be an impression that there needs to be, you are showing your dependent variable and you're proving your dependent variable, but there's a figure of merit that's involved in there as well. And that makes it a little bit more complicated because in a very crude, well, not crude, in a most elegant way, what you're doing is you're manipulating your dependent variable and you're measuring your dependent variable.
Yeah.
Right? And the relationship between those two, that is your figure of merit. But that is a very elegant experiment, whereas in reality, that's very rarely the case, right? So there's a certain class of experiments that I work with, and that's called the magneto-optic Kerr effect, and it's not hugely important what it does, but what we treat there as the independent variable is the magnetic field we apply to a sample, and the dependent variable is the intensity of the light that's been reflected of a sample, polarized light that's been reflected of a sample through some polarizers and complex shit. But that's a dependent variable. But we can, from our dependent variable, we can directly map that to magnetization, and the magnetic field, actually the bit that we are manipulating is the amount of currents that we're passing through a bunch of electromagnets. But we are measuring the field, and so our independent variable would be the field, and the dependent variable the polarization, even though we can map that to the magnetization. Now, to make that more complicated, but that's what we're measuring.
Yeah.
Right? And we're doing entirely different things because we're, actually, I shouldn't have pulled up this example because there's a bit of trade secrets there here.
Well, I just want to...
but we're manipulating different things. And there's this flat earth definition of this must be the independent variable. It must be directly, physically manipulated.
Yeah.
And the dependent variable must be directly, physically measured.
It's like I just want to give this example that I was talking with someone in the comment section earlier. Was essentially I was stating that distance can be an independent variable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to distance, the first example that I gave was magnetism, right? I was saying that the independent variable would be the distance to the magnet, and your dependent variable would be the amount of acceleration that the object that you've got it feels towards that magnet, right?
Yeah.
So if you've got a steel ball and magnet, and you want to test what the acceleration towards that magnet is, to see whether, just say you want to know whether it's a linear acceleration or an exponential acceleration.
Yeah.
So, you could have it at different distances and measure the acceleration that it feels towards that magnet, right? And then, in that case, wouldn't distance be the independent variable and the acceleration?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But as I said before, anything you stick on your x-axis of your graph is your independent variable. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Right? Your independent variable is merely the quantity that provides the context for the observed change.
Okay.
But I do have a video coming out on that soon, so
yeah,
I haven't actually scheduled it. It's in the draft stages. But yeah. And there's some cool stuff around how we perform some experiments in magnetism in there as well. And I go into slightly into one of my side projects, which is a bit more social science related as well. So yeah, it's cool.
I just realized something. I Discord.
Okay, Michael Lokim just makes a very interesting point. Is time subjective? Like, one can feel the day drags on forever and another feels it fly by? Or are we talking about clock time? So in the context of science here, we're talking about clock time. But actually, is time subjective? Like, the difference between how one person can feel that the day drags on whilst the other person feels like it flies by. That's actually a very interesting concept, and there's some very interesting hypotheses on it, but I think they're a little bit out of scope, and I have the feeling that Planarwalk is trying to wrap up. But if you want to catch me on Discord, then we can have a chat about this. There's some really interesting stuff around this.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you said, I'm about to wrap up, and so leave a like and subscribe if you like that stream. Leave a comment letting me know what you'd like me to do for future streams. I've been noticing that people haven't been too on board with my debates, so I'm trying to stream like every week. So if you don't want to see debates, because debates are easy to set up, really. And, for the first part of a debate, they generally aren't a debate because no flat earthers show up. And even when flat earthers show up, it's not really a debate. It's just them yelling, nah, 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 nah. And then us trying to explain. Really fun times. But I will try to eventually branch into other debates, like the whole vaccine debate. As I said, I've been wanting to move away from what I've got. And if my content does drop a bit, that's because I've been busy. So there's that. I'm sure there's other things that I wanted to mention, but those are the main. I think I got the main things out. So I'm going to just play a bit of guitar whilst everyone leaves, and then I can shut this thing down. It says that 18 people are 17 people. Why are people still here? You're not meant to be here. Go watch Team Skeptics video or stream, or go watch Creaky Blinders. Apparently one of them is live now, so that's something you can watch. Go and do that. A lot of people have already gone and done that. So 1 minute debunk. I'll force you to leave if I have to. Right. I'm gonna force everyone to leave.